We've added some new features to the custom versions of the application Consignment Store version 4. You can see up here it says version store 4.1. We'll show you the different things that we've added on the custom version. The first one is in the row for each individual item. What we've done here is we've added a discount that is automatically calculated for you now. Basically what you do is when you have the price over here at the sold at price, if I take out, for example, the cents, you'll see that it'll do a minus 78 cents based on the actual price that it should sell at. This is the sell price with buyer's fee. Basically what happens, this is created when you create the listing for the item. This is the base price of $30 plus the 70, well, in this case it's more than 78 cents. And that's another feature we just added. The sales data now has a pop-up that you can go directly to the information in the listing and check out what you actually have in there. In this case, the item was supposed to sell for $30.29. The sold at price was actually $29.79. And the sell price with fee would have been the $30.78. So let's go back over and look at this. We have the $30.78, the 30, and it took 78 cents off of it as a discount. Now, the way you do the discount is just change, like you saw me do, change the actual sold at price. Now, this is the next new feature. What happens here is if you have the sell price that you just saw in the listing, if you click on it, it's going to automatically take the $30.78 and put it into this particular sell at price fee. So now you can see that the process up here at the top. There is a balance of $16.79, and you can see down here that this actually was a $30.78. Amount paid was $13.99, and it left a balance due of $16.79. Anytime there's a balance, you're going to get a red flag on the individual balance due. And the same thing over here on the invoice balance due. You're going to see the same thing come up for the $16.79 for whatever invoice. So if you had a number of them in here and you scrolled through, you'd be able to see each one of the ones that have values due. And if you clicked on, say, I'm in one now, I'm going to click on two or tap on it. When I click on it, you're going to see it's going to move to that record. So you can now see the next record by clicking on the header value here in blue to take you to the next invoice that you want to go to. When you have a lot of them in here, these are just the example records, but when you have a lot of them in here, you'll be able to access the information by just clicking on the icon, pardon me, the individual invoice number. And of course, when you change records to another one, like the other one was 3078 in number 2 here, actually we just use the same thing, the no description for the value that was in there. And when there's more items in the actual records, in this case there's only one in there right now as far as a consigned item, it will give you the option to see different things in here as far as what the row contains. Now, be aware that you should never have two records with the same information in them. So for example, if I came up here and looked at this, I should go over here and say testing number 3 and make that what the value is in here. Because what happened is basically the information that we brought over is on record ID number 3, and that is testing. 3 testing is the item. If you put the same item in here along with the consignor record, that item would be duplicated, and what you're going to get is an error where it actually will blank out all the data in here, and that tells you whenever you have a record like that that you've selected an item that is already in the system. When I say already in the system, that's a consigned item that is now being used for the second time, and that is not allowed. You're not supposed to reuse the item, because now what it does in the relationship between different records, it'll indicate that there are two of the same item being put into, by the item number, put into the record, and there's already one out there, so it'll blank this out until you go back and edit it. So for example, I put it in there as 3, and when I go over here now and look at the record, it's going to be looking at item 3. So obviously if it's not the right item in there, for example, this one doesn't have a sell price, it doesn't have a sold at price, and while we're here, let's go ahead and put it in there. We're going to say it's, say for example, $10. It'll automatically put the $10 in there. If you put a buyer's fee in here, and I'll put in, say, 99 cents, with the buyer's fee in here, now you'll see it's going to be $10.99. And this is the number that is actually going to show up with the buyer's fee in it over on this record at $10.99. The original price was, click this to make sure it's updated. The original one was $30-some, $30.78, as you can see up here. When I click off of it, what happens, it says the sum paid. Well, the sum paid is obviously not going to be this. We're going to just go ahead and say, for example, we're going to go down here and say the price that was actually paid. We'll take that out and make it, it's supposed to be $10.99. So it's $10 with the buyer's fee. Now over here you need to take out the $30.78 and put the $10.99 in there to pay it off. Should come up with 0. Now you look up here and it'll say the total amount for the thing was $10.99 for this row. The sum paid was $10.99, and now the balance is 0. So when you're using this, it's easy to keep up and make sure things are correct. One of the other things it does is, say for example, and notice this, when I take out the 99, it makes this a minus number because it's taking the value out of the actual record by 99 cents, so it's a negative number. So when you look at discounts on any of the reports where it shows discounts, it'll show as a 99-cent discount, so it's actually a negative number. Before, some people were using this, they were putting in 99 cents, and then they would go over here and take 99 cents off of this. Although it actually is correct from the standpoint that you took the 99 cents off the sold price, it was coming over here as a positive 99 cents. Now it'll correct that so that it'll be minus 99 cents off of this, making it this value here. Okay, in the future, and of course what it does too is it also adjusts the amount on the balance due, so you'd have to correct it. In this particular case, we're just going to put it back in there at $10.99 so it's corrected. I haven't pointed this out before, but the item, when you're going over here and you're going to put in the item sold date, I did put it in the video, but I'm going to re-implicate that when you click on it, it's going to put the current date of this actual transaction that you did. You could have different transactions that may occur on a different date within an invoice, and whatever the date you're doing it for can be added to that particular row. In this particular case, if you wanted to change it, just click in and say, for example, I wanted it on the 21. And that's that date right there. So it updated it. But once again, I can also click on it again and it puts in the correct date. So if you make a mistake, it's just a simple thing of clicking it to return. We've added some additional features other than the ones we've talked about already. Do you know that usually when a customer comes in and they see something they like and they think the price is too high, they'll ask for a discount. Well, we've made some changes to the discount process. They enhance the application. Basically, in the past, this was blank. And what it did is that you put in or calculated the discount that you want to have for that client if you're going to offer one. Now, with the incremental things over here in the data screen, down here, you can do 10, 20, 30%, and you can see that they're marked down incrementally based on the day. This also plays a part in what the discount may be. For example, if it's gone past the 30 days, then this would be 10% discounted to $28.15. So say, for example, we're at that point and we want to change it. We can go over here and we could take the number that's in this area and reduce it by the amount that you want it to be in there. So we want this to be $28.15. So we're going to say 28.15 is the discount at this period of time. And it automatically tells you that we took $3.13 off the price from the actual original sell price with the buyer's fee. So $28.15 would be put in here, and then you can easily get to that anytime you need to. Say it's 60 days or 90 days. It would tell you what this item should sell for based on the discount that you added to the application. These are put in by you, and these are put in by you to get to the numbers. The dates are automatically based on the original date, and then how many days after 30, 60, and 90 days. And of course, the 104 is when you own the product because the person didn't come back and get it. The next thing I want to show you in here is that we got in here and we have a commission paying to the consigner. And one of the things where we're having some issues with some people is what they were copying the numbers over, they copied them to the wrong field. And basically what happened is you had the commissioner being the consigner and the store, and they had the wrong amounts. So what we've done is we've added another link here that what it does on this red header is if you click it, it automatically enters the right stuff in the right field. That way you're not going to have a problem. And then of course it puts in the actual consignor commission down here that is going to be going on the reports as far as the consignor's amount that they're due, which is a whole different thing when we do that on the report. And it also shows the sell discount from the portal that we're looking at here, and it's $3.13. And of course you can come back out here and you can see that it's $3.13 is the amount that was deducted off the actual sale price. Typically, the other things that we have in here that are new is we have the days since listing, and of course this is the new sales data popover that helps you to get a little bit more information when you're doing a row by row thing. And as I pointed out before, and I want to re-emphasize, is the consignor ID and the item ID are only, in this case the item ID is only used one time. You do not take the ID and re-put it into any other invoice on the system or duplicate it on one invoice. What that does is it breaks the links for the link from the inventory listing, and what it's doing is it's going to mess up everything. It's not going to work correctly. What happens if you do that and you have to correct it, what you can do is you can see that when you add this particular item ID, if you cannot get an item description or the information over here, that's telling you that you're trying to enter that more than once, and that's not proper, and you should stop and then check to make sure that the item you have in front of you that you're selling has the correct ID on it. If it has the correct ID, before you start adding any data, you want to do a find in the actual listing screen by finding out where that item is at. So I'd go back over to consign data, or the listing view, right, pardon me, listing, and what I would do is a find, start a find, and then I would look for that item ID. So I can go over here and I can say both here, I could put in 1, and in this case it was actually for consigner ID 1, and then I can say over here perform the find, and then it shows the actual record and record data, the actual sold date, the actual amount that should be in there, and so forth. If there's an error in the actual application, say this entire record had been deleted by accident, you would get a null, or it can't find the item, and you'd have to modify the record to find it. At that point, what you'd have to do is recreate the record and change the ID in the record when you actually put it in the invoice. That can be a little hassle for the reason that it's a lot of work to do that. Well, now it's not anymore. You can come over here and use the duplicate retail button, and what it'll do when you click on it is it'll recreate this entire record, add a new or next item ID that's going to be coming up on this person's record. It would be a high number, of course, if you had a lot of stuff out there, but then you can now go back to the invoice that you're putting this out on. As long as this wasn't sold before, you'd have a new ID now where you could sell it if you had the actual item and it actually registered. It may mean that somebody, when they put in the item ID before, picked the wrong one, and it was for a different tag, and instead of putting, say, maybe 1-1, they put in 1, and then they had an error. So you have to correct it.